Hi guys, I hope you're good since last video. There is different ways to authenticate to a Kubernetes cluster. Following what we have done in the previous videos, we are going to authenticate to the cluster using those keys and certificates. We will see step by step how to authenticate to the cluster. The scenario is a new user with some set permissions that need to be added to the kubeconfig file to be able to work in a specific namespace where some Japanese AI applications are deployed. Open your terminal and let's go through raw errors and fix those and pass the steps to get in the cluster as the new user. I've left a link in the bio for the students who want to learn AI by doing, beginner devs who want to think at a service they could offer, or business owners who want to use AI for themselves. It is free. There is a guide PDF to download and the video. Link is in the pinned comment or video description. Get it now from our hub, Shaker Houses. Also, please like and subscribe. Thank you for your support. Let's get started. Quick overview of the documentation. So everything is in kubernetes.io. On the left tab, you just go to authorization. There'll be some more tabs to check, but we're going to be authenticating through the API server API. The API server client API. And those are some of the commands that we're going to see through this video. We're going to try to pass through that. Some YAML files that we're going to use. Okay, we're going to try to give maybe not exactly those YAML files, but YAML files looking like those. I'm just going to try to find the right YAML file and show it to you. Kubernetes here. Admission control. Kubernetes API. Okay, so you just need to go through that. You're going to find it. So here, certificates and certificate signing requests. So that's what we're probably going to use because we've been using certificates. We have fixed the cluster by updating those certificates. Now let's use those. Let's keep going using those certificates by creating new ones for that new user. So TLS, everything is TLS to have this trust between the client and the server through those certificates, and that's what we're going to use. This is the kind of YAML file, so I found it. Manage TLS certificate in a cluster. It's in the TLS tab on the left side. That's where you're going to find it. So I've been struggling to find it. I've found it. Please like and subscribe. We're done with the documentation overlook. And now let's certificate signing request for the new user client. Let's create it. We're going to open a terminal. We're still working on learning NeoVim and how to use it. For the moment, I don't know if I like it or not, but I don't know. I like Nano. I like just something simple also. kubectl, who am I? So at the moment, this is the username, Kubernetes admin. The group master, system master, and system authenticated. So first, we're going to just check. Here, I'm just going to edit the config file, which is in the folder .kubeconfig. From the home directory, we have the user Kubernetes admin. That's where it is from. You've seen that in the previous videos where we have copied the admin.conf file having those new certificates. So now we're going to use same OpenSSL to generate new certificates. So here we're going to create a key, a PEM file. We're going to use a PEM file. You can use a .key file, but you need to use the keyword in. So let's use it like that. Gen RSA, out key Creditizens PEM, and after OpenSSL rec, so we're going to request for a CSR, a certificate signing request using this key. So we get a new one, we get the key, we put the key that we have created, which is called key_creditizens.pem out. This is the output CSR file that we want. The output creditizens.certificate signing request. So here you can, it's mandatory to add this subject because that's where you're going to add the CN. The CN is the username that is going to be used to authenticate to the cluster. So it needs to match that. The username is Creditizens AI. After that, you can put this user in different O. O means organizations, but consider that to be a group. So he's in the group Gen AI DevOps, and he's in the group Site Reliability Engineers. Okay, that's what Creditizens is. And after here, we get those new key and the CSR created. Just show you what is in the folder. So I'm working from the .cube folder. After we're gonna encode this with just base 64 encoded. I'm just trimming and deleting all the new lines. I don't know if it had worked properly, but here is the option when you use the TR. So delete character, here is set to new line, and I'm just gonna copy it because I will need to put that in the YAML file because it's an embedded CSR that we're gonna use. Here I'm gonna create a YAML file where we're gonna actually use the YAML file that we have found in the documentation to create this authentication to the API server client. So our username that is very explanatory, Auth Creditizens to API server client. API version is certificate.io, is the version 1. Okay, we're good for the certificates. .ks.io. So API version certificates.k8s.io/v1. The kind is a certificate signing request, CSR. The metadata, we're gonna add the name here, but the name is actually that will be the username. Okay. So here the name is point Creditizens AI. That what we have used in the subject under the CN, which is the username Creditizens AI. Specs groups system authenticated. You can add some more groups, but here we're just going to do it like that. Request, we're going to put the key, the embedded key. I mean not key, the certificate signing request that we have copied, but we copied in the base 64 encoded. We're going to check if it works just like that. If it doesn't work like that, we're going to come back to this file and fix it. The signer name, So here I'm just copying the fields from that YAML file using the same structure. So the server name is kubernetes.io / kube API server client. So that's the door that we're going to use to authenticate to this cluster. We're going to pass through that. Usage is certificate signing, key encipherments, and client authentication. Username. So this username that I put here is not mandatory to put it because I haven't seen it in the documentation, but you can add it and have your full name, which you already know. I'm called Creditizens AI Tokyo Shibuya. And here I'm just going to change this is digital signature. That's what you should put here instead. This one is important. Okay, let's clear this. kubectl apply. We're going to apply this YAML file. We check if there's any errors. There are some errors. Nice. That's good. We're going to learn. So converting YAML to JSON line 11 could not find expected colon. Okay. So this is about. Okay, we need to put all in one line. I believe so. I'm just getting rid of those line returns. Okay, so I might be missing some other line returns. So let's keep checking. So you see, even if I'm in NeoVim, I'm using still the nano. Okay, let's try again. I'm not going to try 10 times. I'm just going to try to put everything to get rid of those. So I put everything in one line. Okay, there's a typo somewhere. Name mapping. Not found the name. Creditizens AI. Namespace. Okay, I know why. Here it's signing your request. There's a typo. Okay, finally we're done after 1000 attempts. Now we can get those CSRs. We get it. We get the right name. The condition is pending. You can see on the right column, the last one. Now we're gonna approve, and the condition is gonna change to approved. kubectl certificates approve Creditizens AI. This is gonna change. I'm gonna just show you. Get CSR, approved, issued. We got it. So that's from a key that we have created. We use kubectl command, which is using the Kubernetes admin that we have shown at the beginning. Because he's the admin, he has the permission to create a new user and to provide those. He has the permission to provide those certificates. And here we can see that Creditizens AI have been added. Not added yet. Yes, here added. And we have the status certificates. And that's what we need to access to for the next command. kubectl get CSR Creditizens AI. So we need to output in a JSON path because we want to pick on this the certificate. So we add status and certificate. We're going to use dots to to access to this field. Where is my cursor? Sometimes my cursor just disappears. Okay, I'm here. Dot status dot certificate. Okay. And after we need to pipe it because we need to decode that. So base 64, because this is the certificate that we need to use. The API server has signed it. I'm gonna delete because I forgot the flag. I forgot the flag base 64. Decode, I need the D. So let's just delete the Creditizens cert. Let's do it again and add the D flag. So it's going to decode it, and now we got it. I'm just going to cut, and you're going to see how it's written. Begin certificate and certificate, so everything is fine. Now that we got this cert in base 64, just to show you that is the right one, just read those little characters, BDR, juv, here, BDR, juv. Okay, so the beginning and the end is the same. Move R, and here we have 9, P, Q, O, T, L, and so move R and so on. So that's the same one, just the encoded and decoded versions. So now that we got the cert, we've done manually all the handshakes. We've been into the API server. That's giving us, I've added this to the file. The user is registered. We've been given a certificate. And we clear this for next. Please like and subscribe during the break. Role creation, kubeconfig cluster. So let's create the role. Let's create a namespace. Just create everything from now. That's where the user will have its permissions. Mangakisa namespace. kubectl create role. So the role of this engineer is going to be Naruto AI, which is a AI app that is going to be deployed on this cluster. You can watch Naruto, but there won't be any sound displayed. So the user is Creditizens AI. The verb, here we're providing the role. We're just describing what the role is. So get, list, create, delete, and update. But for what? For the resource pod. Only the pods. In the namespace Mangakisa. I don't get the auto completion here. Okay, that's because there is an error in the comment. So when you're creating the role, you don't have the flag user. So we just get rid of user, and now the role have been created. Now we need to bind this role to a user, so we're going to create a role binding. So kubectl create a role binding. So I don't know if I showed you before, but some different resources are namespaced and some are not. Here, this one I'm going to call it GenAI Naruto app. That's the name of the role binding. The user is Creditizens AI. So here we have the user flag for the role binding. The role name is the same name that just one line above the role that you have created, Naruto AI. The namespace is Mangakisa. So we have this role created and we have this role binded to Creditizens AI, which be able to get, list, create, and delete, and update the pods in the MongoKisa namespace. Kubeconfig set credentials. Okay, so now we need to set those credentials for Creditizens AI. We call the credentials Creditizens AI. This is just the name. We're going to use the keys. Client key Creditizens PEM. Client certificate, the certificate that we got. Creditizens cert, the one that we have decoded. Embedded cert, true. So it's embedded into the file. Okay, keep them on the cert. Creditizens AI. Kubeconfig, we set the credential for him. Okay, user Creditizens AI set. Amazing. Everything works fine. Kubeconfig H. So I'm just going to check and show you the context, because we're going to be playing with those commands now. So we can just first maybe get the context. After we might set the context, we can delete, we can use the context. So we just have one context. So this user, even if we have set the credentials, this user can't yet log into the cluster. So we need to use kubectl config, because now we just have the cluster admin. Now we use set context, Creditizens AI. I'm just going to give it the same name as the user. And now we define, we precise what the user, who is the user. The user is Creditizens AI. And we need the cluster, which is Kubernetes cluster. Context Creditizens AI created. So now we have a new context. You have a little star to tell you which context is activated, is on. So when you type any kubectl commands, it's going to be under the admin at the moment. We have the new user, kubectl, we use context now. Okay, set context, Creditizens AI, now use context, Creditizens AI. I got the auto completion, that's good. And now the star has moved to the user Creditizens AI. Okay, this is what we got in the folder. And here we can check. We have Creditizens AI added as a context. Okay. And the user with the client key and client certificates. Kubernetes admin has its own keys and certificates. So from now on, we'll be able to enter commands. So you see here, user Creditizens AI cannot list resource pods at the cluster scope, because here I didn't precise the namespace. But if I precise the namespace, I can do it. But we haven't deployed anything yet. But still, now it has access to it. There is nothing found because there's nothing deployed there. What we're going to do, we're going to use the admin. So I'm just going to change the context back to the admin. So you'll be able to see what's going on when the admin deploys something to the MongoKisa namespace. Okay, we are back to the Kubernetes admin context. So now kubectl commands have admin permissions. We're going to create a deployment in the MongoKisa namespace. I'm just going to deploy Nginx, but just tell to yourself it's not Nginx. It's an amazing AI application. Okay, we have created one pod. Get pods. So we get this pod here. Okay, this is kubesystem. Here, Nginx in Mangakisa namespace. It's running, it's working. And now that we have that deployed, let's see what the user can do. We're gonna change the the context by switching. So we'll use the command kubectl config use context Creditizens AI. So now the star has moved to the context Creditizens AI. We confirm. We can describe the pod. Let's see if you have the permission to describe it. Let's copy and paste it. I need to yank, okay. And here, namespace, Manga Kisa. I don't have the auto-completion now, but I can describe it, okay. Let's delete the pod. The pod haven't been deployed by Creditizens AI, but by the admin. But because it's a deployment, you know what's going to happen. That's why it's good to use Kubernetes. It's going to be running on the node, so there will be a new pod created. As you can see here, the tag 59xfs. Here we have 4nbhp. So another pod have been created, but we have the permission to delete those pods because we are in the Mangakisa namespace. And we have the permission to do that with this user. Now the user is going to create a pod. Okay, and creating this pod in his own namespace where he has permission. So here we're going to create the pod name will be Creditizens AI own pod. That's my own pod in the namespace Mangakisa. And we're going to still deploy Nginx. So there's something wrong about the command. I think it's kubectl run. I can't use create, it's run. Let me just use the right command, kubectl run, and we just write the name of it, which is Creditizens AI on pod. Creditizens. I don't see my cursor anymore. I don't know why it disappeared. Creditizens. Okay, there is a T, but it's okay. I could create it. On pod. So you see we got the permission to create, update, delete, list. And now I'm going to delete it. So because it's a standalone pod, it is not a deployment. When you delete it, it's just going to disappear. Yeah. I might need to copy the name of it because it wasn't yeah, I might need to copy it because I did a typo at the beginning. I did a T. I don't see my cursor, so I'm just going to use it like that. So we delete it because the user has the permission of that when we created the role and we have binded that role to this user. you will be able to delete this one also, because it's in its own namespace. So in this namespace, he has full control, but only on pods as deleted. On the admin deployed, that's why it's better to use deployments than just running pods, so that you can use the Kubernetes ability to recreate those pods. kubectl config, so we admin, we're just gonna tear down everything, so we get rid. So I just want to show you how it goes when you want to get rid of the user. So let's first show the context here is still in the file. The user is still in the file as well. Now kubectl, let's clear so you can see. kubectl delete. I used config delete. I'm going to delete the context. Creditizens AI. So the context has been deleted from the .kube config file. So now you see we don't have it anymore. So we see here Kubernetes has a user. We can still see the user, but the user is not enabled. He's not able to access the cluster because there's no context for that user, only for the admin. Okay? So this user can't access the cluster anymore, while before we had his context. So he could access the cluster, he had the permission. We have seen how to authenticate to Kubernetes cluster using certificates, signing requests, and passing through the Kube API server client API. We have set new contexts for the cluster and have created RBAC role-based access control for that new user. Now that user can work with its set limits and boundaries in our abstraction of cluster, running, spanning across different nodes from different locations. Here the namespace will be the boundaries of that user, and the permissions will be portraying the least privileged concept. Let's stop here. Hope that you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and see you next time.